Well, for me, publishing a book was beneficial for multiple reasons. Now, I had kind of a dual benefit because it helped brand and market myself and the company I'm with, Yaymaker. So in making the title Find Your Yay. So I was thoughtful on that. But what it did is it opened up lots of opportunities from just driving revenues, people seeing the book. I had people reach out.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It is another week, and you know what that means. It's another episode of Leaders Talk. I am here again, your host, Andrew Dupy, and today I am very excited to be joined by one of our Leaders Press authors, Matthew Rolnick. So Matthew is the VP of Strategy and an innovator at Yaymaker. He is the author of the Amazon best-selling book, Find Your Yay, a DME instructor with 120,000 plus students, including courses in entrepreneurship and persuasive writing. He's also a LinkedIn coach who helps CEOs and C-suite executives find their voice and share their thought leadership. Matthew is passionate about leadership, corporate culture, employee engagement, innovation, team building, helping everybody he meets find and share their voice. Matt is the official member of the Forbes Business Development Council and partners with his wife, Sabine, in the Rolnick Group, a residential real estate group with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Chicago-based Downs Grove, Illinois. Matthew, welcome, sir. I'm really glad to have you here. And you just tell us a little bit more about yourself. That's a pretty good deep dive, but I want to hear from you.
Well, thanks for having me and the intro and a little bit about me. I'm a passionate, I consider myself an entrepreneur and an intrapreneur. I love helping and elevating others and collaborating with others. And then recently, I've been very passionate embracing social media professionally. So I'm very active on LinkedIn, and I try to encourage all professionals, CEOs to entry-level salespeople, everyone to just share their voice more and not be shy about it and find that niche. So that's something that I've been passionate about. And I've been really active. My book, Find Your Yay, I work for a company, Yaymaker. We do a lot of corporate team building events. We're best known for Paint Night, and where we've done over 400,000 events throughout the US and Canada. And but I enjoy, as I said, strategic partnerships and helping others professionally grow, I would say.
I love this concept of yay. The title is perfect because it immediately intrigues me. It's like I want to learn more about what a yay is and what that means. So deep dive into us a little bit about how you help people find that yay.
Well, I'd say two ways. I mean, as I said, my company does corporate team building events, and we want to have companies have fun and find that yay. So especially as employees, a lot more are remote. They're all over. They're a little more disconnected. They don't feel as connected with the company and the team. So doing whether virtual events, in-person or hybrid events, that's what we do. And so that's how we try to help companies or groups or organizations find their yay. But now, professionally, I believe people finding their yay is finding that sweet spot. What's perfect for them? I mean, what is the type of company, culture, employee, product, service? How do you find that? And how can somebody position themselves with their own branding on the things that they know best, and how to influence and be confident with their own voice. So when I say find your yay, I'm encouraging people, if you're great at, whether it's sales, organizing files, putting together projects, helping others create books, whatever it is, find, what your yay is, share that and why you're passionate about it and connect with others on that. So that's what I'm, what I anchor on.
So tell us a little bit about how this integrates with the concept of social media, because that was something you mentioned right at the very beginning, that social media is very important nowadays. So go into a little bit about how finding your yay connects with social media in the modern world.
Well, I kind of compare social media to a knife. It can be used for good purposes. It can be for bad purposes. I mean, and same thing I see with social media. I mean, you hear people complain about a lot of things with social media and how people can get addicted to it and things like that. But there's also a lot of wonderful things about social media. So, I've seen businesses grow with Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, and for me, LinkedIn is, my choice of preference, or what I'd say the social media platform I use the most. Because it's mostly professionals. And so I do think it's a way to elevate your own brand. I think it's a way to evangelize your own product, services, or company. And I think it's a way to build really strong connections. So I always share with people, finding your yay is, most people just look at content on LinkedIn, but they're not actively sharing content or participating. And
Yeah.
that's where I try to encourage people to be like, because it's, even getting a job, it's not just about sending a resume now.
Mhm.
They're looking at your LinkedIn profile before your resume now. And for people that share more what they know best, it's a better way to demonstrate what you do well by, in my opinion, posting on LinkedIn. And it shares your personality, your values, your experience. So I'm always encouraging people not to be shy and post more and express themselves that way.
Yeah. I think that's really important, because that is the problem of social media, isn't it? That there's so much noise that you really have to do something special to stand out. And to even to us, I mean, that's why this podcast exists. Content creation
Yes.
is become really the way in which you are going to make yourself different from the person who's, maybe just used LinkedIn to go on and say, oh, well, here's my resume.
Absolutely.
Here's my CV. So what kind of content creation do you recommend to be able to actually get to and connect with people?
Well, there's several aspects, I think, to grow on LinkedIn. One is content creation. So with content creation, I think you have to be thoughtful on what is relevant to you, your business, your industry. So for myself, my company that I shared does corporate team building events. And, I have my own motivation to want to help our company grow that. But rather than just posting about this event and that event and why people should do events, I look at a bigger picture. So for me, it's about, I want to be more of a thought leader when it comes to corporate culture, employee engagement, and talk about why improving corporate culture and employee engagement can help increase retention, make employees even feel more connected. So I have kind of some macro or broader things that I like to do content about. And also leadership. For me, I'm trying to connect with more CEOs or C-level professionals. So my content that I'll post will be geared towards them a little more and what they're thinking about. So when I think about Leaders Press with you guys, I mean, you guys are trying to find, working with authors and everyone. And, when you're talking about an influencer or, again, a CEO or somebody that has something to share, that content that can resonate with them can just strengthen that relationship. So, but whatever your industry is, I think of sharing content that can complement it. And then also, I do believe that if you're authentically passionate about something, that is something that people should talk about more. So actually, and not to be shy, to be more vulnerable. There's a friend of mine who I've worked with. I'm in a mastermind group with. His name's Noel Berkman. He has dyslexia. He's the chief strategy officer of a impressive company in Chicago, and he just recently started opening and sharing more about being a professional and growing and being successful with dyslexia, and actually sharing insights and tips. And it's a real way to empower others as well. And I think that's another avenue where I've just been really impressed with how he's been embracing LinkedIn from that standpoint.
Well, that brings us to the T word. That brings us to trust.
Yes.
Because I feel like that when you are being very open about your content, about yourself, about what your business is, about, we'll call it your North Star, whatever that be, that when you engage with that kind of material on social media, you begin to actually start to create a trust relationship with your audience before you even ever have them in the room to actually talk business with them. Would you agree with that?
1,000%. And something I probably should have talked about earlier. I think that is getting yourself out there, sharing ideas and content, who you are. People want to connect with people, not necessarily companies. So it is about trust. And once someone feels they know you better, they understand you better, you're making deposits in building that trust. So I think that is a critical part of, my message and why to utilize a LinkedIn or social media more. It's how you use it and being very thoughtful about it.
Yeah, and nowadays, I mean, we have to actually talk about social media. You say, yes, it has its negative aspects, but we can't ignore the elephant in the room that since the pandemic, since 2020, we've moved online
Oh,
in
yeah.
so many ways. And I don't think we're really going to come off of it. It's not really the sitting in the room anymore with prospective clients that we had maybe had in our mind for, oh my gosh, the last probably 100+ years worth of business. This is a realm in which now we are actually having to do our business.
Absolutely. I mean, in person is wonderful. There's an extra
Right,
connection
yeah.
when you're seeing it, but the virtual and online, that's not going to go away. I mean, you need to be able to utilize both and connect with people both ways. So, for us to be able to do an interview in different states, I mean, that's one thing that makes doing things remotely or virtually or online special. I mean, but I think there are ways to connect and strengthen relationships and build trust in person and virtually.
Yeah, exactly. The idea would be that you use the online to be able to get to the in-person. And I think the same way works a little bit for a book, yes?
100%. 100%. I got a lot of my virtual experiences. I'm talking about building relationships and trust and new clients because of working remotely and virtually. And now people that I've started those relationships, now some of them I've been able to meet with in person. So, but to answer, absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the value of adding something like a book to your presence, to your online presence, basically saying, now I have something that is my brand, that has everything all of there together, that is my basically my business Bible.
Well, for me, publishing a book was beneficial for multiple reasons. Now, I had kind of a dual benefit because it helped brand and market myself and the company I'm with, Yaymaker. So and making the title Find Your Yay. So I was thoughtful on that. But what it did is it opened up lots of opportunities from just driving revenues, people seeing the book. I had people reach out, talk to me, have more conversations. It actually grew to some new clients and new strategic partnerships. I've had a couple people who've read the book that asked me if I could be their LinkedIn coach or consultant. And that was what the book did. And then it's opened up new speaking engagements for me to be on podcasts or to speak in front of groups. I was recently asked to speak in front of a group of CEOs about corporate culture, where I was encouraged to talk about corporate culture, talk about my company and LinkedIn. So it was like I was able to talk about three things that I'm really passionate all at once to the exact audience I wanted. And this person that reached out to me wouldn't have if it wasn't for my book.
Yeah. And that's the perfect segue into that idea we talked about before. It's like you're moving towards getting to the in-person, and you're improving the actual interaction once the in-person begins. So, I mean, how hard was it for you to begin to actually segue that book into these kind of experiences?
It happened pretty quickly. I mean, once the book was out and published, I had a lot of internal support from old colleagues, friends. It was just amazing. I used to work for Groupon, starting back in 2010, I believe, 2010. And it was a rocket ship then. But I've had but it was such a strong network. It was amazing how many past people that I've worked with were so complimentary or supported me with my book. And then also it grew to new opportunities where they wanted to partner with me, or they wanted to work with me, or things like that. So it was pretty quickly. I mean, I got some speaking engagements pretty quickly, or talking on podcasts pretty quickly. And so to answer your question, yeah, as soon as the book got published and I posted it, I was getting some traction.
Now, here's something I hear from this has come up on the podcast a few times. And, before I was doing the podcast, I was doing sales. I didn't sell you your book. I was right around the time that you were actually coming in with us. But many people that come in, they say, well, Andy, I have issues, though, with being in front of people. I want to do it, but that kind of thing worries me. And yeah, I want to have a book, but am I going to be the right fit for being a public speaker, being a podcaster, being that kind of thing? What would you say to someone that might have some of those reservations about being able to segue a book into something like that?
Well, it's interesting. Like I'm working with, I launched a speaker series for our company. So anyone's looking for a DEI, mental health, or motivational speaker, we work with quite a few now. But a lot of them I spoke, and a lot of them have TEDx talks, and now they're doing lots of speaking engagements. But they started more introverted. They shared, but they felt compelled that they had something they wanted to share, and whether it was through a book or through now their speaking engagements, it grew. So I think a lot of people, public speaking is one of people's biggest fears, if not the biggest. But for the life is short. In general, my thought process is, if you have something you want to share and you think it could be a good book or a good speech, to go for it. I just think it's important to get your message out. But again, everybody beats to their own drum, and everybody, has their own thing. But for a lot of people, I think it just needs that extra little nudge. But I always try to encourage. I know for myself, and I might be a little more extroverted, there were benefits after having a book that I didn't even realize. So again, for myself, for my confidence, for my for consulting, for my company. So I do think there's multiple benefits out there. So I generally encourage people to, if something they're interested, to at least explore it more.
Yeah, exactly. Not everybody is like me, a camera-seeking missile. But it's something that it is something that you can absolutely learn and grow into. And I think that what we found in many cases is that when some people that have not felt like that's been their wheelhouse or their boathouse, when they've actually gotten in and done it, they've really enjoyed themselves and found it kind of unlocks new parts of themselves.
Absolutely. And I see that a lot when it comes to public speaking. If somebody has to do a training in front of, whether it's 10 colleagues, 50 colleagues, 100, 1,000, at first there's a lot of anxiety. They don't want to do it. But after they prepare and they do it, often they feel much better and they're glad they did it. And for some, it's like, boy, maybe I want to do more of this. So,
yeah. And I also feel that, when you're actually talking about having things like LinkedIn, and you're having where you are able to share so much of yourself already, that really we're just getting to the point where being in front of an audience is almost as good or better than being in person in a lot of cases.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So Matt, I usually kind of start to when we kind of roll these down, we want to do kind of a golden nugget, just something that you have learned in either in your experience in being a social media expert or in writing a book, just something that our audience who, they might be fence sitting on thinking about a book, maybe not fence sitting on thinking about engaging in coaching, consulting, social media. What would be your advice to them?
Well, I got two pieces on separate tangents here. One would be, if you are thinking about a book, hypothetically, or, take small steps, crawl, walk, run. For me, I started writing more. It started posting more on LinkedIn. Next thing you know, I started writing articles on LinkedIn. Next thing you know, I started writing articles for other publications, blogs, and then on Forbes. So it kind of just snowballed and grew. So as I said, it's just taking a first step. And for some people, that might be just writing one original post on LinkedIn, or just trying one article or one blog post. So that would be one. The other, this is going to sound a little cliche, or, but a golden nugget that I think is, I think it's just so important to treat, everyone with respect and continue to help others if you are able to. So I can't stress it. I've seen so many situations where people were in a low level position and now they're successfully running divisions or companies or things like that. I believe in not underestimating anyone. And some of my strongest relationships or professional successes have been from trying to help or elevate others. And it's, whether you believe in karma or not, I do believe things turn around. If somebody's in a really low point, that's when I try to reach out to people. People usually like to connect with people when they're riding high and they just did a C round, or they're going public, or who knows what. But I like to try to help people when they're having their real challenges, and life is challenging. And I feel like when you reach out to people and you have something to really offer or help them, they'll really appreciate it. But I've had people 6 months, a year, 2 years, 10 years later reach back out to me and saying, hey, I'd love to work with you on this. And it's just, and they say, I appreciate so much when you reached out to me when hardly anyone else did. So, I mean, those are two different things that, I mean, if you ask about golden nuggets, that crossed my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that has enormous value. And no, it doesn't sound cliche. Usually when we lead with does it sound cliche, it's just really good advice. Well, Matt, how can our audience find a little bit more about you?
Well, anybody can find me on LinkedIn. So you can find me, Matthew Rolnick, on LinkedIn. Or they can email me, mrolnick, my last name is ROLNICK, at yaymaker.com. And, you know, as I said, I love forming strategic partnerships. I love connecting and helping people. So, and again, anybody that ever wants to talk Yaymaker, team building events, or LinkedIn, I'm your guy.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Matt Rolnick, the author of Find Your Yay. Matt, we really appreciated having you, and we wish you the best of luck in your future.
Well, thank you so much. It was great to